welcome back to the channel. So we've removed the ABC pump and now we got a big giant hole here that we can work in. And here's the new pump. Tiny, easy to work with. Should be a lot easier. The reservoir will mount to the top and slide into this slot right here. We'll go over that soon. But essentially, smaller pulley, reservoir on top, bolts on the side and the back. On the front we got these two, and if you order them, make sure you have this. I would recommend just, go to, forget Mercedes or anything else, just AAE makes some great parts. RockAuto had the best price on this, about 150 bucks for the pump because of the 2-year warranty, and it's got the correct bracket in there. So I'll go over the other components which we talked about at the beginning of this series, but let's get it bolted in there and rock and roll. So position it in place. Gotta figure out where everything goes, but there it is. See, those two rear holes are right there, and then the front should align. So I'll do the front first. Get those started. For that bottom one, I got to move the tensioner out of the way. Okay, now for the back ones. I got some new metric bolts for the back. M8 by 1.25. I got 30 millimeter, I got 20 millimeter, and I got 40 millimeter. I think the 40s are too much. The 30s might be okay, and the 20s I believe could be. I undid the front two E-Torx bolts to just slightly, just so that I have some wiggle room. And this is it. The Hillman hex cap screws, class 10.9, M8 1.25 by 30 millimeters. This is it. It threads in just fine. So with that wiggle room, you can position them, hand tighten them first. Yeah, folks, so the trick is to really keep those front bolts loose, position new bolts onto the back, 30 millimeter length on the top, 20 on the bottom, and those you can get at most hardware stores. Get those started, and then tighten up the front, and then tighten up the back. Now the $1,000,000 question, will this line reach? And oh boy, gonna have to figure something out. Definitely has to reach. There we go. Perfect. More than enough slack to reach there. So let's do it. Let's connect it. Yeah. So it's gonna go right in there. I got my bolt with the original crush washer. It looks perfect. Just need some paper. Wipe up all the fluid that's filled up this little bag. Unscrew this thing. And bolt in there. Alright, so back to a nice socket with 22 millimeter. And there it is. The crush washer is right in here. Original one. It looked solid, not even squished or anything. I don't know if I need to put a crush washer here. I don't think there was. I could be wrong. Please comment, let me know. It's easy enough to change. I'm going to be looking for leaks and everything. Alright, that's tight. Not torqued, but tight. So, we're almost home, folks. It's tight, it's there, and now we need to put the reservoir in and the fan belt. So, let's put the fan belt first while we're here. Just need to loosen up the tensioner. Bring the belt back around. Belt is there. Belt's back in its place. It's got some nasty stuff dripping on it. I think I'll clean that with some brake cleaner. Definitely don't want hydraulic fluid on it. That dry off. Definitely want to let this electrical cleaner dry off before you fire up the engine. We need to take off this cover. Okay guys, I tried to record, but here's what I've done. So the pump is in place. The ground wire is attached to this hole right here. There's no more bracket there that goes to the block, no need for that. There's 2 bolts on the back, 1, 2, and the third attaches the ground wire right to here, just loops down under this and attaches right there. So that is it as far as the back. I put the reservoir on and it's in place. Now I need to put this locking pin in place, and that slides on the side right here. To push it with a little bit of oomph. Supposed to slide right in there. And use a socket to just push it in. There we go. So it's in place. The O-ring is already in. I put it in the plastic tube of the reservoir rather than on the metal port of the pump. So it's all the way in there to give that a good seal. And Now I just need this thing, and this is the return hose, which should be coming from the power steering and comes to this thing right here. This one was for the ABC, which is no longer used. And now I've got an issue I did not anticipate. The hose does not reach all the way. So, what do we do? This is quite a conundrum. I need some type of adapter here connected to a little piece of this hose here, and then I can put in my inline reservoir and be done with it. Well, except I found one other problem now. Looking down here, I found something that fell inside. Look at that, my copper crush washer, and that probably fits in right here on this banjo bolt, the high pressure bolt in between. So I'm gonna need to reopen that sucker up. No fun, but oh well, gotta do it. Make sure that this fits in there. Alright, so next step, we need to connect our power steering return line. Here's the retrofit. You have the longer existing line that went to the ABC return cap. That's this line here. There was a shorter line here a second ago that went to the power steering return. That goes down here through under the air intake hose and comes out over here. The ABC line connects to this plug, which goes into the bigger radiator, the little radiator for the ABC system. I unplugged that line here and plugged it in to the right hand side metal line, which just runs into this looped mini hose or metal hose that comes right back. So both of these, this is the power steering return from the power steering system, and it loops around, and then this is the return. So we took the ABC line from here, plugged it into here. I took out the shorter hose that was for the original power steering reservoir. That's gone. I pulled it out. So this is the old ABC line plugged in here, which will now become the new return. It's a thicker line, so you need some conversion. That's a 3/8 inch inner diameter by 3/8 inch FIP to 1/2 inch inner diameter hose bar by 3/8 in MIP. So that's got the thicker side that'll connect to that ABC line, which is now your new power steering return, and then switches it to a smaller 3/8 inch. I went to the local auto parts store, got 2 feet of fuel line, 3/8 inch fuel line. That's going to go into our new filter. It's going to cut this into pieces, and the second piece will connect to here, which connects right here to your reservoir. All right, let me get that mocked up and then we'll continue. All right, so we got it connected. Here's the setup where it goes over here through this big coupler, into my the new additional power steering filter and into the return. I filled up the reservoir with fresh fluid. An important step is I took off the belt, releasing the tensioner, took the belt off the pulley, and what I'm doing is I am spinning the pulley. Spinning it both direction. Air bubbles are coming out. I can see them at the top. And what this is doing is it's priming the pump so that the pump is not running on empty. You don't want the pump running on empty when you're firing it up for the first time. Again, this is a little small step, but it makes a huge difference when you got a new pump. Running it dry initially can give it a few seconds of dry operation, which immediately wears away parts. All right, putting the belt back on. Releasing the tension. Verify the belt is on all sides. Looks good. Nope, on the bottom it is off. Reach down there and push it in place. It's always worthwhile to just double check everything. And then put the tension back on. Okay. Remove the tensioner socket. All right, now we're ready to fire it up, and we're just going to do a quick short burst, turning it on, turning it off real quick, just for a second, and then we'll check the fluid. I'm going to close the cap for a second. By the way, I found that missing crush washer, that copper second one, so I put, there's one on the outside, one on the inside. All right, double checking, everything is in place, and we're going to get another container of fluid ready to go. Our fluid's ready, and I have a checklist of things I made. Just want to go through it real quick. I primed the pump, removed the belt. To do that, next we're going to check for leaks, and one other important step is here's one other step. I got Leak Finder's oil-based leak detection dye. Put up our reservoir. All right, just a few drops of it in there. All it takes. Double check everything is in place. The flow for my filter is pointing with the arrow in the right direction. Everything's I'm hoping these spring clips work okay. I'm gonna check those, make sure we don't have leaks there. If not, I'll replace them. Turn on the car with the key. I'm not gonna use the click to start. That's it. That's all it took. Real quick, just to fire it up. And come here, verify that our belt is on. Everything is good there. And let's check our fluid. It is significantly dropped down. That's why. There's still some, but you don't even want to run it for long. I want some of that dye that dye is sitting there on the top. I want to get washed away. And there we go. All right, it's full. We're going to do it again. 1, 2, off. So it says I got plenty of fluid. Let's run it a little bit more. By the way, I want to check to see if there's any leaks. Primarily here at this banjo bolt. Nothing there right now. And with that UV light, with the UV flashlight and that dye running through the system, I'll be able to look at all the critical points. So far there's nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. And let's look over here. Nothing over here. There's definitely brake or power steering fluid leaking underneath. I think it's coming from over here. Not sure, but this may be loose, so I need a better clamp on here. All right, so just started it up again. Fluid is remaining high. I put a piece of paper under the pump, see if it would get green. It is dry. Another paper here. I changed the clamp on this thing from this spring clamp because it wasn't strong enough to this guy. Tighten it up. There's no fluid coming out here. I think the fluid was dripping behind it, working down there and dripping down here. Fluid is maintaining its level, no noises, and underneath, no dripping. It was gushing before, so definitely gonna let it run for another 2 minutes, verify. I think we're okay now. Fluid is maintaining its level. Nothing dripping on the paper. One thing for sure, it's definitely running quieter compared to the ABC pump.